yeah, so your colours are ultramarine, crimson red, Payne's grey and yellow ochre and any green. So I'm just going to start by mixing some of the crimson first. Just I only want a pale wash of it to start with. We're just going to start with the background first. So I've got my crimson mixed up nice and pale. I'm just going to wet my brush. It's the size 12 large round watercolour brush. So I'm just going to damp around the panda. So we don't need to paint the entire background. We just do a wash that gently recedes into the white paper. And just loosely working around the panda. You have to be quite quick, so because it's so hot. And then straight in to my crimson mix, bringing the paint around the background there, around the edges, and down towards the bottom right hand corner. Allow it to get lighter, and then just blend that back into the white paper there. And then the same around the other side on the left of his other ear. Using diagonal brushwork, it's much easier to get the paint moving if it's a diagonal brushwork, and then blend it back into white paper again. So it doesn't need to be pink all the way round, it can just fade out back to the white paper. Okay, so there you go, have a go at doing that, just to start you off. So you can mix in some ultramarine into the crimson there, so you've got a very pale purple. So just mixing that out. And that's going to serve to underpin, if you like, some of the Payne's grey that we'll be using. So it wants to be fairly pale. But again, it just lifts the picture because we've got some colour there, rather than just using black or just using a deep grey. Okay, so I'm just going to use it, not everywhere, but just mainly in the bottom right hand corner of his body. I'm just going to, like we were with the yellow ochre, just washing it over. It can overlap some of the yellow ochre as well. And you have to sort of follow the contours of where the movement of the fur, so it radiates out from under his chin, for example. So we want it sort of to move almost horizontally under his head there. And then it can come down very pale into where some of the leaves will go later, just to give a hint of colour. And then you can put some very pale where the eyes will be, so you can block those in very loosely because we're going to be painting over with the fur technique in a little while. Okay. You do that bit first. squirted out some more Payne's grey into my palette, so I've got plenty of it, because now what we need to do is to just look at the shoulder and the arm and its long brush work, and following again the radiation of the, if you look, the way the fur radiates out, and this sweeping movements are nice and long, and you probably find it difficult to do it in one shot to cover such a big area. So just because the paint's drying so quickly as well today, making sure you've got enough paint on the brush, sweeping it. You can tidy up the edge in a minute as well, sweeping it down from underneath the chin across that shoulder. Nice long movements with the brush, and just going over that area again with your brush strokes. You don't have to start at the very top every time, but the aim is to cover all of that shoulder with these nice long mark making techniques with this long brush work. Just sweeping, it slightly curves when you do this as well. You can just imagine it just falling over the shoulder there, and you can tidy up the edge. There you go, just a little bit. Doesn't matter if it's not absolutely neat, because you're going to still get a few wayward wisps of fur, but as long as we can see the edge of the chin there, that's fairly clear. Get it nice and strong. Don't be shy with the paint, it wants to be dark. And at its darkest, you can have it at its darkest nearer or nearest to the chin, where the shoulder meets the head there, where the head's resting on the shoulder. So similar sort of mark making, only longer this time. Let it just fall down. There we go. And you can allow some gaps so that you can still see some of that yellow ochre underneath. Some strong Payne's grey yet again, loading the brush up, and again being aware this time of the movement of the fur. It kind of radiates out, sort of going almost horizontally and slightly upward up the top here, and then you can make it quite wayward, and then it comes down and starts facing downward. Keep the mark making smaller, shorter this time. It doesn't want to be as long as on the paw or the arm, so shorten it. And then it comes down, following the direction that your yellow ochre mark making made earlier, down and over that shoulder. So it wants to be about an inch, not an inch, a centimetre, centimetre and a half. So about 1/4 of an inch, half an inch, somewhere around there, as it comes down over that shoulder, nice and strong. Don't have to cover all of that purple up that you painted earlier. Finish the Payne's grey before you get to the end of the purple. So it's just tapering off really, it's just disappearing off into that purple. Water on the brush. allow a few wayward wisps of fur to come out from the edge of the shoulder. Make it look a bit more natural. And just wear the fur. I'm going to come back up to where it comes into the head again, just underneath the head by the paw, and I'm going to make it really dark in there, so it's darker than the actual paw itself, and the paw will come forward then. Stand back to check it. Okay, that's fine. Sorry?
My sap green has died.
Oh no! Have you got another green of some sort there?
Yeah.
Good.
Hooker's green.
Perfect. You don't even need to mix into that. Just use your Hooker's green as it is. Okay. Right, so I'll show you what to do with this green here. And we're just going to, I'm loading up my brush and I'm going to use the full length of the brush. And it's just starting up where the paw is and just flicking. It's a bit like Chinese brush painting with one stroke. See how you just carefully just flick it and it tapers off? That's all we're doing, just to suggest some of the leaves. Reload the brush again. There we go. I'm not going to get many leaves in mine because I haven't got a lot of space. There we go. And you need to start sort of fairly into the paw, but don't be too harsh in this area where you've got the Payne's grey. You don't want to take the Payne's grey off. And just to put a few hints of leaf-like shapes in there. Don't forget to stand back so you can see how it's looking. There we go. Just put a bit more on the top there. So let that dry for a moment and then I'll come back into it with even stronger colour. Just to finish off. Go and just leave that to dry, and once you've done that, you've finished.